Morning. Time for some practice, guys. 60 minutes. Come join us. Let's get this set up here.
One of YouTube's very first fitness superstars built a $20 million six-pack empire on a single promise: that a mysterious afterburn effect.
Shortcutters, Mike here. Today we're going to talk about the afterburn effect.
Could melt your belly fat like a cheat code. And then, just when the money was peaking and the criticism was the loudest, he vanished, caught between an FTC investigation, platform bans, and a personal awakening that made him walk away from everything. This is the story of how Mike Chang turned one fat loss idea into one of the most aggressive online fitness machines ever built. How that empire began to crack under spammy ads and unrealistic claims, and why the man who once wanted $500 million from six-pack shortcuts ended up searching for inner peace in Bali instead of more sales. You have to understand just how early this was.
But I had this experience, and that experience changed my entire life. That started, it was February 8th of 2015.
This wasn't the era of polished influencers or fitness celebrities with teams behind them. This was when YouTube still felt personal, almost raw. And that rawness made trust easier to build. When Mike spoke, it didn't feel like a brand talking. It felt like a guy who figured something out and wanted to let you in on it. Imagine opening YouTube in 2012. Before you even finish watching a video, a shredded Asian guy pops up shirtless in a plain room, staring straight into the camera and talking directly to you about your belly fat.
Go over there, they spend 20-30 minutes working on different types of crunches, all kinds of crazy ass, ab workouts, and at the end they're like, well, how come my abs don't show?
No flashy gym, no cinematic lighting, no fancy edits. Just a regular looking guy who somehow unlocked permanent abs and now wants to show you. That guy is Mike Chang, and over the next few years, his face becomes unavoidable. Pre-roll ads, banner ads, fitness collaborations, until it feels like the entire internet is one giant funnel leading straight into his program called Six-Pack Shortcuts. Six-Pack Shortcuts wasn't marketed like a normal workout program. It was positioned like an answer. Like everything you'd tried before failed, not because you were lazy, but because you were never shown the truth. That framing mattered, because it shifted blame away from the viewer and placed Mike in the role of the guide, the one person who finally understood your problem. At the center of his pitch is one phrase that changes everything: the afterburn effect.
Back shortcutters, Mike here. Today we're going to talk about the afterburn effect and what it is and how you can get super ripped and why we based our whole program on it.
The idea sounds simple, powerful, and almost magical. If you train the way Mike teaches, your body keeps burning fat for hours after your workout ends, like an engine that keeps running long after you turn off the key. In his marketing, afterburn is not just a physiological response. It is framed as a hidden weapon, a secret trainers don't want you to know, the missing explanation for why your workouts never worked, while his system finally will. Here's the catch: the afterburn effect itself is real. In exercise science, it's known as excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, or EPOC. After intense training, your metabolism stays elevated for a short period. But inside the six-pack shortcuts universe, all nuance disappears. The message becomes, do these short workouts, activate afterburn, and your body will torch belly fat all day long, even while you sit around. For millions of people exhausted by long cardio sessions and confusing diets, that promise is intoxicating.
So the afterburn effect, what it is it's when your body burns calories up to 48 hours after you finish working out. So you can work out today and up to 48 hours afterwards, you're continuously still burning calories. Very different than a normal workout, because usually you'll go to the gym for, let's say, 45 minutes or an hour. You work out, your heart rate's high, your body temperature is high.
That promise did something psychologically powerful. It didn't just sell fat loss. It sold relief. Relief from guilt. Relief from effort. Relief from the idea that results had to be slow and uncomfortable. Afterburn wasn't just a metabolic concept anymore. It became emotional permission to believe that this time would be different. Now add timing to the equation. Early YouTube fitness was the Wild West. There were no polished influencer brands yet, no teams, no massive production budgets, just cameras, personalities, and raw ambition. Mike understood something most people missed. You didn't need to be the most qualified trainer. You needed to be the most visible. So he built a machine with 3 components: emotionally charged videos, aggressive paid advertising, and a high-ticket backend filled with programs and supplements like afterburn fuel. Everything in the funnel was designed to escalate urgency. Miss this offer and you'd miss the window. Skip this upgrade and you'd slow your results. Each step subtly implied that stopping meant failure. It wasn't enough to start. You had to keep buying to stay on track. The content strategy was ruthless in its simplicity. Short videos, direct language, emotional hooks, titles about weird tricks, ancient secrets, and fast ab results. The goal wasn't education. The goal was belief. Belief that you were one step away from cracking a code your body had been hiding from you your entire life. And right when that belief peaked, the funnel opened and 6-pack shortcuts appeared as the solution. Behind the scenes, the business exploded. Revenue estimates placed the company deep into the multi-million-dollar range, with reports suggesting millions per year from the core program alone. Affiliates were recruited aggressively, earning commissions by pushing links everywhere. YouTube, comments, forums, social media, turning the internet into a self-replicating sales engine. And that's when the backlash really began. Comment sections filled with links. Forums were flooded. People who had nothing to do with fitness were being sold abs. What once felt unavoidable started to feel invasive, and the brand's presence crossed the line from everywhere to excessive. Mike openly talked about wanting to grow the company into a $500 million empire.
You know, what was the new goal?
500 million.
Well,
Not per month.
Right, that was the Beachbody. That's how much they were making at the time.
That's how much they were making. Yeah, because we met.
But the same tactics that fueled that growth also planted the seeds of collapse. The ads became unavoidable and increasingly extreme. Dramatic before and after images, claims about scientists discovering revolutionary ab secrets, language that sounded scientific without actually citing science. Inside the fitness community, credibility began to crack. Trainers and experienced lifters saw the messaging as less education and more classic overhyped weight loss marketing disguised by charisma. The irony was that Mike never needed extreme claims to succeed. But visibility rewards simplicity, not accuracy. The clearer and bolder the promise, the faster it spread. And once the machine was running, dialing it back meant risking everything. As YouTube matured, so did its audience. Viewers started asking harder questions. Creators who understood nutrition, progressive overload, and basic physiology began calling out the exaggerations. The idea that one system held the exclusive key to ABS started to feel absurd. At the same time, the internet itself was growing up. Audiences had seen too many promises fail, too many one weird tricks. The trust that once fueled virality was eroding, and platforms could feel it in complaints, refunds, and advertiser pressure. Slowly, 6-pack shortcuts shifted from being aspirational to being a punchline, synonymous with spammy fitness ads and miracle claims. Then came platform pressure. Google and YouTube tightened advertising standards around misleading health claims. 6-pack shortcuts had run massive ad campaigns built on dramatic promises, and violations began stacking up. Accounts were reportedly suspended. Campaigns were shut down. Eventually, the brand lost access to the very ad systems that had fueled its rise.
Because I always talk about being natural and getting the results only through working out and dieting. But lately I've been using something else. I hate to admit it, it is what it is, but I've been cheating. And I know, a lot of people's gonna hate on me on comments once I tell you this, but it's the truth and I wanna come clean. It's true that I personally do the same 6-pack shortcut workouts that all my clients do. Yes, it's also true that I eat clean. I do follow all the diet advice that I've been giving you in the videos. But what I didn't tell you though is that another big reason why I'm able to burn my belly fat and get six-pack abs year-round is because of what I'm taking. It's helped me dramatically increase the intensity of my workouts. It's helped me build more muscle. I mean, this stuff is pretty hardcore. You can't get it in vitamin shots or any retail.
At the same time, regulators stepped in. The FTC began aggressively targeting deceptive weight loss marketing across the industry. Companies promising unrealistic fat loss timelines, misrepresenting scientific backing, or making refunds difficult were suddenly facing fines, forced refunds, and legal action. For a business built on secret science and hard-selling tactics, this wasn't just a warning, it was an existential threat. The FTC wasn't targeting one company, it was cleaning house. The entire weight loss industry was under a microscope, and businesses built on urgency and exaggeration suddenly found themselves exposed. What used to be tolerated as marketing was now being labeled deception. And while all of this pressure built externally, something else was unraveling internally. In later interviews, Mike admits that even at the peak of success, he was deeply unhappy. On the surface, he had everything: money, fame, influence. But internally, he felt anxious, trapped, and disconnected. The business that looked like freedom from the outside felt like a prison from within.
Want is just to maintain what I'm experiencing now. That is better than what anybody can ever, what I can ever do. So I had that awakening, and I realized that nothing I can do on the outside was going to create more happiness. And I didn't have this lack of self-worth, this needing to prove anymore, because I was able to see exactly where it came from, and I realized that it was just fear, and it wasn't just an idea. I experienced how it's like to not have it. It's totally different, And when I experienced it and I had that sense of happiness and all these things, I realized that's what I want.
When your identity is tied to performance, rest feels like failure. When your income depends on belief, doubt becomes dangerous. The pressure to always be confident, shredded, and certain slowly erodes the person underneath. Then came the moment that changed everything: psychedelic experiences, followed by what he describes as a spiritual awakening. The identity he had built, the hyper-masculine, shredded, relentless entrepreneur, suddenly felt hollow. The six-pack stopped feeling like success and started feeling like armor. He began questioning not just his marketing, but the entire value system behind it. From the outside, his disappearance looked abrupt. In 2015, Mike vanished from six-pack shortcuts. One day he was the face of the brand, the next he was gone. There was no farewell video, no explanation, just absence. For a man who once dominated screens everywhere, silence became the loudest signal that something had gone wrong. New trainers replaced him, new videos appeared, but the man who built the empire was erased from it. Behind the scenes, the exit was messy. Former associates described internal conflict, legal pressure, and emotional collapse. Reports suggest Mike was forced to sell his stake and signed agreements that restricted him from appearing in fitness content altogether. When money, lawyers, and brand control collide, identities get erased quickly. Financially, the exit was still massive. While exact numbers remain private, it's widely believed that Mike walked away with several $1 million. Combined with prior profits, the total wealth extracted from six-pack shortcuts likely reached 8 figures. But instead of launching another fitness brand, Mike disappeared to Bali. There, he immersed himself in meditation, self-inquiry, and inner work. He let go of the six-pack persona entirely and rebuilt his identity from scratch. In Bali, no one cared about his abs or his revenue numbers. That anonymity was part of the healing. For the first time in years, he wasn't selling anything, he was listening. When he reappeared online, it wasn't to sell abs, but to talk about fear, ego, and self-acceptance. For years, fans speculated wildly. Was he banned? Sued? Silenced? The reality was quieter and more human. He cashed out, burned out, and walked away. Meanwhile, Six-pack shortcuts faded. Without its frontman and without access to aggressive advertising, the brand lost momentum. The era of miracle AB promises was ending. Platforms got stricter. Audiences got smarter. Regulators got louder. The FTC's message became clear. Shortcut fitness promises backed by pseudoscience and aggressive billing would no longer be tolerated. Many companies paid fines. Others vanished entirely. Looking back, six-pack shortcuts sits at the exact intersection of two eras. One where visibility alone could create millions, and another where skepticism and regulation finally caught up. Mike rode that wave perfectly until he decided the cost wasn't worth it. Today, when he speaks, he sounds nothing like the man from those ads. He talks about insecurity, validation, and the psychological trap of tying self-worth to appearance. He admits his drive wasn't purely altruistic. It was fueled by fear and the need to prove himself. And that's the uncomfortable truth. He motivated millions to move. But he also sold a fantasy that one shortcut could replace patience, consistency, and reality. Shortcuts don't just distort results, they distort self-image. They convince people that failure means personal flaw, not unrealistic expectations. And that mindset is far harder to unlearn than any bad workout routine. So what do we learn from this story? Visibility beats credibility in the short term. Hype works until it doesn't. Regulators eventually catch up. Platforms evolve. Audiences mature. And building an identity around a shortcut often traps the creator just as much as the buyer. Mike Chang built a $20 million empire from a single idea, walked away before it fully collapsed, and spent years rebuilding himself away from the spotlight. It's a rare exit and a costly one. If this story changed how you see fitness marketing, don't scroll past it. The next miracle ad you see is built on the same psychology. Share this with someone chasing shortcuts, like the video, if you want more deep dives into the rise and fall of online empires. And subscribe so you don't miss the next story hiding behind the screen.